With the trend making the rounds on TikTok in which people are applying makeup to emulate bruising and burns, claiming they died in Auschwitz or one of the many concentration camps run by the Nazi regime, the Auschwitz Memorial has chimed in. To no surprise, the trend isn't sitting well with them, or anyone really, but you may be surprised at what else they said about it. Although some are claiming they did the trend to simply educate those who aren't aware about what happened, many feel it was simply done in hopes of getting more likes and follows, possibly going viral. I'm going to tell you guys all that went down right now in InformOverload. What's good, everyone? I'm your host Jared Bronstein, and this is actually somewhat of a follow-up video to a previous video that we did about the trend titled "Please Don't Do This Disrespectful TikTok Trend." Now before we get into things, I wanted to give a quick shout out to our new channel, Central Dark. If you're a fan of horror and anything scary, you need to check out this channel. Who doesn't like getting scared or watching people get scared? You guys know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I don't trust.
What is he looking at? What is, okay, what is I've never been more scared of a squirrel in my life.
I feels like my heart's gonna explode.
Also, be sure to stick around to the end of this one as I'll be replying to some of your comments from a previous video, but for now, let's get into it. So to no surprise, a lot of people who did this trend, which I can't believe it became a trend, were called out. Many of them admitted their intentions were simply to educate, however some were upset that non-Jewish people were doing it as well. Personally, I think that's irrelevant, as a total of about 11 million people were killed. Even though the majority of them were Jewish and the ultimate plan was to eliminate Jewish people altogether, if people genuinely wanted to educate on a topic like this one, then there's a way to do so, regardless if you're Jewish or not. This trend, on the other hand, to me at least, just seemed like people looking for a way to go viral, jumping on another trend, and not realizing how ignorant it is. But let's see what the Auschwitz Memorial had to say. Tweeting out a lengthy note, they captioned, I quote, "The victims trend on TikTok can be hurtful and offensive. Some videos are dangerously close or already beyond the border of trivialization of history. But we should discuss this not to shame and attack young people whose motivations seem very diverse. It's an educational challenge." Their note goes much more in depth, saying that the stories of those who were imprisoned and murdered at the camps are emotional and painful, and as important as it is to share their stories, it's just as important to tell the stories with accuracy and respect. However, it's also incredibly important to educate those who don't understand why this would be seen as offensive, and continue educating those on ways to discuss and teach the history in a respectful manner. It caps off mentioning, I quote, "There are far more outrageous issues like algorithms promoting anti-Semitism or the presence of Holocaust denial that is a dangerous and hideous carrier of anti-Semitism and hatred. Social media platforms sadly allow denial content to remain on their platforms. And truth be told, it is the sad reality. As a Jewish person myself, I'd certainly be much more outraged to find someone denying the Holocaust than a 15-year-old jumping on a trend, which regardless of intent, does still spread awareness about what happened. Still, it doesn't mean either of them are right. Although I've noticed more and more social media sites have fact-checking implemented into some of their posts, it's a fine line, which led to Mark Zuckerberg being accused of defending deniers. It doesn't seem that was the case, and Zuck thinks those who deny it don't do so maliciously, just out of genuinely not knowing their history. On a podcast with Kara Swisher, he explained, I quote, "I'm Jewish and there's a set of people who deny that the Holocaust happened. I find that deeply offensive, but at the end of the day, I don't believe that our platform should take that down because I think there are things that different people get wrong. I don't think that we should be in the business of having people at Facebook who are deciding what is true and what isn't. The approach that we've taken to false news is not to say you can't say something wrong on the internet. I think that that would be too extreme." Although I agree with his main point being that it's hard to understand someone's intent behind denying it, I still consider that fake news, as we all know it happened. He then emailed Kara after to clarify his stance, claiming he didn't mean to defend deniers as he finds it incredibly offensive and that the goal is not to stop people from saying things that are untrue, but spreading fake news. But again, denying a historical event is fake news, isn't it? Either way, Zuck continued by explaining, I quote, "The principles that we have on what we remove from the service are, if it's going to result in real harm, real physical harm, or if you're attacking individuals, then that content shouldn't be on the platform. Again, I understand the idea of freedom of speech, but denying history is fake news, and I don't think it should be allowed." This was back in 2018, so I'm sure he's since updated things. At least I hope. At the end of the day, context is always incredibly important. I definitely think there are better ways to educate one another on certain topics, this definitely being one of them. Still, I find it very refreshing to find a statement in which the memorial is asking people not to attack the young people who don't understand why what they did was wrong, but instead just educate them on ways to properly do what their initial intentions were. Of course, some people were just jumping on a trend to go viral and get followers or likes, but even for them, it's important to inform them on why what they were doing isn't okay. It's easy to get mad at people and dismiss them, much harder to have uncomfortable conversations. I think we gotta start having those conversations though, regardless of how uncomfortable they may be. And this goes for everything, not just this specific trend. It seems the United States specifically is in a very divided place right now, but I feel the only way to bring the two sides together, if at all, is to continue the conversation people have been pushing for. Now, as always guys, I love hearing your thoughts, so let me know what you think in that comment section right down below. For now, let's reply to some comments from the video. Please don't do this disrespectful TikTok trend. Kaz Johnson said, disgusting what TikTok allows. I wouldn't call that educational. Yes, I agree. Like I said, I don't think the intention was to educate. Yeah, there's not really much else to say about it. Like I think majority of people around the world know the history of it. Although there are some places and some people that deny that it happened altogether. So I think maybe it's educational in the sense that like if someone didn't believe that it happened and then they saw this and then they were like, wait, I don't understand why they're doing that, and it led to them maybe looking it up. I mean, it's pretty far-fetched to say that, I guess, but I don't know. I always try to think of it from both perspectives. I genuinely believe that a lot of people just did it just to go viral though and like jump on a trend, because on TikTok you do a trend and you get all these follows, and I just think it's pretty gross that someone thought it was a good idea to do that. Tank City Queen said, the fact that you covered this without losing your is amazing. Sorry for your loss. Love you, Jared. Hey, I love you guys too. I appreciate that. Actually, a lot of really nice comments from you guys about it. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, like I have a job to do, and at the end of the day, I also try to see it from both perspectives. Like I said, I don't think it was done maliciously. I don't think it was done like necessarily, like I think it's ignorance, and I think, not to defend that, but I genuinely think if someone doesn't understand or know, then there's no reason to get mad at them, because, you know, if they don't know, how could you get mad? Again, it's I don't know how you don't know, but I want to believe that maybe people don't realize why things are offensive. Hopefully. Garnet97 said, Holocaust and trend shouldn't be in the same sentence. Anyone who does this is not right in the head. Who thought this was a good idea in the first place? That's actually an interesting thing, like who was the first one to do it? I know in that video, like I said, there was, I think, like a Jewish girl who posted the video and then took it down, but was saying like she was just always interested in the history of it all and wanted to spread, you know, like educate people and talk about it. But again, there's a way to go about it. Like it's like movies that do it are usually done in a way that show the history and they go in depth and they talk about everything. Like 20 to 30 second video of you with like makeup on just saying that you died in the Holocaust, it doesn't really educate anybody on anything. Again, the intention's there, it's just a little ignorant. But again, it's like these like 15-year-old kids, so we shouldn't expect them to know better. I mean, maybe we should, I don't really know. Some people do, some people don't. It's as simple as that. But rather than get mad, we need to tell them why what they did was wrong. You get what I'm saying? Anyways guys, that's it for this one. I've been your host, Jared Bronson. I could go on all day, but I'm gonna stop right there. So we'll see you guys in the next one.